diaspora. They take the people of this country for their wisdom and vision for peace, the newly elected members of this august House special greetings to Prime Minister Kamalaji for forming the government once again of the friendship and trust between our two nations. Tabla made the steel pan. Together we achieved highest national award. I accept it. The ancestral ties between our two nations. Respect for women is deeply rooted in Indian culture. To become our president. Women will decide the destiny and direction of the nation. And our priority will always be the global South. Highest number of real-time digital payments in the world. Tobago will be a priority nation for us. We'll support your agro industry. Differently able citizens here. There are no limits to our cooperation with you. Guided by your needs and priorities. Vaccine and medicines to over 150 countries to give the global South its rightful seat at the right table. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening, TNT family. Welcome back to Yellow is the Code on UNC USA. I have my friend here, Mr. Suman Singh, with us, and we are expecting a few of our friends to join us. So this, Mr. Singh, this visit of the Honorable Prime Minister of India is serving a multifaceted agenda. I mean, there's so many goods delivered to us, so we've never seen that in our lifetime. From information technology, education, medicine, flood mitigation, infrastructure help, cultural help, community development help, you name it. I mean, promoting our local instruments and all these variety of things that Trinidad and Tobago in its lifetime of independence never saw such a drastic assistance, to us. I mean, I hope the people realize. I hope they can conceive what was delivered to us in this short visit of Mr. Narendra Modi to Trinidad and Tobago. Mr. Singh, your input on views on this situation here.
Well, Gary, good evening and thanks. Let me say welcome to all the listeners who are joining us on the various platforms. We welcome you and your comments as well. Today is a very historic day in the lives of Trinidadians and Tobagonians. Not because of an individual, but because of what was offered to the nation. And I'm reading what is, the level of the MOUs and so on, the level of assistance, and you wonder whether these arrangements is taken out of the development plan for Trinidad and Tobago. Because when I read it, I see our areas of help that is being offered are mostly our areas which we need the help. And no other nation has come to our benefit of assisting us in this way. So this is a very noble suggestion, and I hope it materializes to the fullest extent, and Trinidad and Tobago take advantage of the kindness of Modi ji. So with that, if you look through some of the areas where cooperation is highlighted first in the area of technology. And I don't know how many of us know that, but India is one of the leading countries in the world with technology and artificial intelligence is concerned in all spheres of activities, whether it's been business, education, software development, medicine, health, transportation, and of course, the delivery of services to the social sector. And he emphasized these things because, as I said before, Gary, India is the leader in using low-cost technology to achieve the highest results. And they have been able to do so quite successfully. I gave the example of the moon mission, where they were able to send up the rockets costing less than a Hollywood movie. The cost of that mission was less than making a Hollywood movie. And nobody has been able to do that. US spent billions and billions of dollars to develop spacecrafts and so on. India has been able to do that for a fraction of the cost. But I don't know if you know this. The agency is called DRDO. And most of the people working in that department are women. Could you believe that? The last mission, they have called a Chandrayaan mission, was headed by a woman. And when you see the crew and the people at the command center, like about 70 to 75% of them were women who control the mission. But that is besides the point. The areas of assistance and help coming out of this visit has never been matched by any of our, any of our
allies and friends,
allies or people from the Caribbean. Nobody is coming to our help at this time.
Well, Mr. Singh, what I saw here, and I hope the population really conceive what's taking place. It might take him a little while here, but the Indian Prime Minister is adopting Trinidad and Tobago as a state of India in the amount of resources he's allocating to us, given so generously. He is expanding the generosity of India to also other countries, not restricting what they have, to assist in, whether it's in social services or medicine or anything. He has not limited whether you are Indian or not, but the fact that he has extended the resources of India to other countries and the generosity, and knowing that the fact that we have about half our population of Indian origin, he has adopted Trinidad and Tobago like a daughter or a child, and where he's saying that he's going to take care of everything that we need to get done, whether it's the education system, the flood mitigation, medicine, you name it. Mr. Narendra Modi, Honorable Prime Minister of India, has offered to assist us with everything. Not one country, not even the United States, has gone that far to assist us.
Not the UK, Germany, none of the European countries. And quite rightly, you said it right. He adopted, I don't know if you know the name, what he gave the Honorable Prime Minister. He said Bihar ki beti, which means daughter of Bihar state.
Yes, yes.
And that's where most of our
And all of this
population.
is done in particular because of the love for Kamala Prasad Bisesa, starting out with that.
Correct.
Because of how she connected with them.
Now, correct. And some people, will always try to bring race into this thing, but it's far from that. Because he came from Ghana, by the way. Ghana was established just before he came to Trinidad. And the Ghanaian government bestowed the highest honor to him. And you can see his aim, Modiji's aim, is not to look at the southern countries. He emphasizes South trade. So his philosophy is to help the poorer nations of the world who live in the south of the equator or south of the Tropic of Cancer. Not the advanced America, USA, Canada, Western Europe and so on. No, it's not about that. It's African nations. It's South American nations, because he's going to Brazil after, Argentina after. So where's the race in all of this? But people will spin this to say, oh, this is a racial thing. That is why he's helping here because of Indians. Like a BS, So they look out for the press and look out for a lot of spin doctors emanating from this visit. But we all know what that is. Just spite and short-sightedness, because as
But
the
their
Honorable
narrow-mindedness has caused, and they are so infested and infected with hate and animosity, have suffered people in the country of all races, tremendously. And whether you were inside or outside the country, which I dealt with the ones outside the country and some inside the country. But I mean, in spite of all this, you still see some people are so intoxicated with prejudice that they can't see the fact that they have gotten a better deal, a better government to help them, and the little delay in restructuring of the local government and the CPEP organization, various structure there on the municipal level. They are trying to spin this into some kind of discriminatory kind of process, which is absolutely not the case in that we are trying to sort out where how the funds and the money is spent and deal with these issues, because there's a lot of corruption. The PNM went ahead and giving up contracts when an election was called, which they had no business doing, right? So one thing I do call on is our government make sure that the people who are temporary out of work, that they are taken care of, which I'm sure they will do that, until they can sort out the people going back out to work, that we should, look into that aspect. And but definitely the PNM is going to try to spin this into some kind of discriminatory course of action.
You can see that from the actions today. Do you know there was a protest today?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a little bit of that. I wasn't able to get any clips. You can carry on while I try to find some clips on it.
Because why today? Why did you want to send that message to whom? To the rest of the world? You're trying to send a crappy tail message of what the UNC was trying to do, which is the correct thing, to set the system straight and in order, meeting all the legal requirements and so on. For correcting the system, were just opposing for opposing sake, trying to gain attention to the mass media, and knowing how the mass media operates, they're going to take that and run with it. But you know what? The heck with all of that. Once the country is on a sound footing to ensure that all these scandals and fraud and deception and family and friends and all the finances and so on are brought to bear, then and only then can we set the right policies to implement the right strategies. So CPEP, is supposed to be one example, and that is community enhancement program. So what is the community and who is the community? Is the community only PNM constituencies? Because that is where it was focused on. Only Black people from Trinidad, are they the only ones suffering from poverty? Are there communities were the only one that was suffering? What about other places in Trinidad? What about Mayaro and Rio Claro and Princestown and Beach and Siparia? So these people, these places does not have enhancement projects. But no, this was the classic case of the geographic discrimination which was happening all the time. And now the PNM wants to say that all the UNC is discriminating. And one article went so far to say discriminating against Black people, single mothers, and this and that. It's not about that. It's about the awarding of contracts. It has nothing to do with the people, But again, the press spin the doctors, trying to push the blame on the UNC. Don't like workers, they don't like the Afro Trinidadians, they send them home, they don't have a heart, all these kinds of things. Well, they're saying, well, the backlash is going to be crime. Listen, let the various departments deal with their own stories. That's why they have a Department of Justice. That's why they have a department, of national security or homeland security, as it's called now. So don't let be an issue. Whatever happens, the policies are in place to deal with it. Yes, Gary?
Well, we have known this is the how to say modus operandi, right? They have consistently do that, and the people who supports this don't seem to recognize the fact that they don't receive the best benefit out of the PNM in their racial politics. They get more crumbs than the cake. So they will see what unfolds in the next 5 years as we move forward to improve the lives of all the citizens. I mean, this is an all-inclusive government as much as they were trying to spin it into something else.
Yes, and as the Prime Minister so rightly said during the campaign, that when the UNC wins, everybody wins. Now, tell me, if I'm a diehard PNM supporter and I go to the hospital for a medical issue, and I say, wait, I don't want to be seen by a UNC doctor or a UNC nurse, will they be so bold enough to say that? That's a question I have. Or God forbid, somebody gets in an accident and say, no, I don't want a blood, have one UNC supporter, or don't want my medical practitioner should not be a supporter of the UNC. Will they say that? You see, this racist agenda which the 1% is pushing against the UNC will all fall apart once people realize that, hey, look, there are 15 sectors Hear me good. 15 sectors where help is being offered. Tell me which country has ever offered Trinidad help in 5 areas, or 6 areas, or 3 areas. Tell me which country has ever offered that. One, there's no African country, there's no European country that has offered us these things. Minister Modi is the only one that has done that. Not only to Trinidad and Tobago, but places like Ghana, places like Brazil, places like South Africa, places like Argentina. Why? His focus is on the South to South trade for the underdeveloped and developing nations to come together and trade in all areas of economic activity, whether it's raw materials, processing, armaments, technology, healthcare, you name it. So the same thing he's offering Trinidad and Tobago. And the government will be really wise to ensure that they have teams established to take this offering forward in the shortest possible time. For example, there's an urgent cry right now. What are the urgent ministries right now? Social services, healthcare, education, the ability to raise funds, energy and energy resources, among others. And help is being offered in all of these areas together with
Welcome, welcome, Mr. Clinton Williams. Thank you for joining us again tonight.
disaster management, flood mitigation, agriculture, and he was talking something in the area of fintech. I don't know how many people know what fintech is. It's about global internet processing of payment systems, you know. And I don't know how much people know that Paytm is one of the largest processor of these, and it's an Indian company that does tremendous amount of financial clearing as a clearinghouse for the countries of the East, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and so on. It's an electronic payment processing platform. And he wants to bring it to the rest of the, the Western world, especially the southern part of the Western world, meaning South Africa, Africa itself, and South America and Latin America. So this is a very noble cause and a noble suggestion that if we don't avail ourselves for this help when it's been offered, we will just be missing out and be left as a third or fourth world country for the foreseeable future.
And like I said, we recognize that everything that we were saying should be done. The government of India is going to assist. In what we was hoping to see Trinidad and Tobago do. So, this is very satisfying to see these things happening.
And it doesn't cost them much, It does not cost the
Yeah, but I'm
Indian
just saying all our proposals, all the things we were recommending over the months, you're seeing that unfolding.
We were right on the ball, Gary. We were right on the ball with all of these suggestions. So all those who have been listening to us would have said, hey, like Modi was listening to our program too.
That's what I'm about to say.
How come he is highlighting the issues which we discussed here in depth? Be it finance, agriculture, flood mitigation, healthcare, education, tertiary education.
The infrastructure issue that we were talking about, I have high hopes in the fact that we could get help to construct these dams and floodgates and water treatment facilities, which we will need some help with. Especially like with the Guadalcara River, the Oropouche River
Yep.
area, and then we come down
Yep.
to the Caroni area. These are two main water course area that there might be others, that we have to construct holding facility and treatment facilities.
Correct. And they are very skilled in that, because if you travel to India and you ever experience what a monsoon is, it's like having an ITCC over 1 week in Trinidad.
Mr. Clinton, tell us where you're located. Maybe you have some recommendations for us. We appreciate any suggestion that you have. This program is for all of our people, and to assist and to bring the ideas and information that you have forward. So feel free to make recommendations. Go ahead, Mr. Stuman.
You know, so we should seize the opportunity, Gary, to ensure that this thing starts to happen within the next 3 to 6 months. Got these skilled persons on the ground, both from India and from Trinidad as well, because we want the technology to be transferred to our people. We're not going to treat it as these UN projects or
I am
these
very
OAS
excited to see what's unfolding.
Yeah, normally when they have projects going on in anywhere in the Caribbean, especially, or in third world countries, more than half the monies for the project are eaten up with administrative fees and paying the consultants who come to do the job. In this case, it's not like that. The assistance is most of the assistance is offered through the India Technical Fund and also the Commonwealth Fund for Technical Cooperation by the government of India. So these are sort of no strings attached, funding. And the part I like about the most, I should say, is the grant funding. I think it's up to 25,000 US for small venture capitalists, meaning someone has an idea, you can show them you have a good plan, a marketing plan, a good strategic plan, exactly what you want to do. They are willing to providing funding for you at no cost. It's a grant. It's given to you up to $25,000. So what does that mean? It means that can kickstart this SMEs, the small to medium-sized industry back again. And in so doing, we create a fair amount of employment opportunities, because these companies employ 5, 10, 15, 20 people per company, and that will generate a good tax base for the country itself. Plus, people will have jobs, right? They will have spending power. The SMEs can become the real middle class of country, which is the backbone of any country. So these things, this is a very, very encouraging aspect, and I wish that the ministers in charge for the business sector, I know Mr. Maraj, Kama Maraj, he is one person who will be extremely delighted with this offering, because it can kickstart the business sector, small business sector, to become more agile once again. So I am very, very, very hopeful and exceedingly grateful for this offer by Modi ji to help Trinidad and Tobago. And given the linkages we have had and shared with India over these years, I think this can become, very fruitful, and position Trinidad once again as the leading country in the Caribbean in all spheres of economic activity, be it education, be it skilled human resources, in the area of sport, in the area of finance, in the area of education, the area of healthcare and health management, and of course in science and technology as well as IT. Because we should have been there and extending the lead in the Caribbean, but unfortunately, due
Welcome, Dr.
to
Maraj. You didn't see you there for a while.
due to deliberate actions over the last 10 years, when the philosophy of the PNM was, well, why are you giving children computers? What are they going to do with it? There's all the excuses.
But that is a very illiterate statement from a person who is in our education system. He should be fired immediately.
But not only that, the whole crew should be fired because that is the philosophy. That is their philosophy.
Because they
So,
want good for themselves. They want good for themselves. What do you think it is? They're eliminating the competition. But we want to equalize the playing field.
not only I know if you consider that they are the ones most disadvantaged, and here's that you're denying your own people.
But
Your own
Mr.
people.
Singh, Mr. Kim is not speaking on behalf of the Afro Trinis or the Indo Trinis. He's speaking about maybe what about point something percent of the Chinese. Is that who he's speaking on behalf?
Yeah.
Because he's not representing the people who in the country who desperately needs to better themselves. He's not representing them because Mrs. Bises is providing tools to give you an opportunity for your lifetime to better your situation, and he's condemning and criticizing that. So he's not representing you.
Well, in their eyes, they think that he's representing them. But anyway, Gary, the whole system, as I keep on saying, the whole system is broken, and we have to go bit by bit, fix one at a time. But we have a decided advantage now because we have help coming both in the
I
area
think
of
the system is more than broken, Mr. Singh. I think it is totally dilapidated and deteriorated.
and I've
And that's
always
by design. I think this is by design. That's my whole concept and thoughts on this whole situation. This was constructed to keep people suffering.
correct, and they have done that. They have achieved that objective. So I have been maintaining this, that the entire system in Trinidad and Tobago is broken. So you have to fix everything. Fortunately, we got an offer now to fix basically all the systems and put them in their rightful place. As again, we say in agriculture, you can get help with that. Business development, we getting help with that through the granting of up to 25,000 US for venture capitalists in the area of healthcare, the area of pharmaceuticals, the area of education, areas areas of technology.
Dr. Maharaj, feel free to jump in anyway, anytime you're ready.
Oh, okay.
In the areas of AI, in the areas of sport and culture and delivery of social services. So that basically, that is covering all aspects of the development process in Trinidad and Tobago for every single ministry. And I as I was telling Gary just now, Dr. Mirage, I don't know if you were
Mhm.
listening. Apparently, Mr. Modi was listening to us because all of these things we have discussed. And here's it, he's coming today, um, not knowing what we have discussed before, but hitting on the same points. So that
Mhm.
lends us to suggest, or me to suggest that, hey, you know what? Great minds think alike.
Mhm.
So we were on the right track. He is on the right track, and the UNC is in the right track. And I think collectively, we can make a good impact on the overall development of TNT once they could start to initiate the processes and getting the adequate personnel to come on board, both locally and from India, and the financial resources as well. So, with that, I don't know if Mr. Maharaj, if you have anything to add.
Um, yeah, because I would want to say first of all that I noticed we don't have any, at least in the panel, we don't have anybody so far from who residing, mostly residing in Trinidad. So I have a few words to say to them, really. Um,
Mm-hmm.
since our people here are more like overseas based, I would like to say that well, I'll repeat this at some point again, but I would like to say that I'm very grateful for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. First of all, for throwing out that corrupt a regime that really, let me just use the kind of words, a regime that didn't have anything more to offer, and therefore they had reached their limits, and therefore they couldn't go anywhere. So the Trinidad people, in their wisdom, has done the correct thing, as we all said many, many times before. So with that in mind, I would also like to congratulate them for the wisdom and the foresight to invite such a noble guest, an international stature, a man of international stature that is maybe one of the best in the world today. And this is not because we kind of favor them. It is because the reality is, like I said when I began with you all, that I said this is the Indian century. So let's give Jackie jacket and let's play along. And if there's anyone who is anti Modi and the visit by this great Indian Prime Minister, they should be, I don't want to say extricated, but they should be really given the task of, I don't know, being, let me call them just unpatriotic. No, that's a better term rather than getting any nasty word around. They become very trini unpatriotic. So you'll be seeing them coming up a little later saying a few things and negative things, which if the opposition says that, I understand, but the opposition cannot only oppose for opposing's sake, but when it makes sense, give credit where credit is due, and then you could be called a great country. You would not be a great country if you decided to oppose with meaningless and lies and innuendos and pack of stupidity all over. You already had enough of that over the past 40, 50 years. So I must congratulate the Trinidad people for those two things. Number one, having the wisdom and the foresight to replace the decadent regime, and now to bring this great prime minister to the shores of our land, which could only redound to the benefit of all of Trinidad and Tobago. And I think some of you mentioned to the Caribbean. So let me start with that issue of what India can do in the Caribbean. The world is trying to get into the platform that they use in this payment platform and this system called, I think Indians India Stack, STACK, some sort of the name like that. Some kind of is a platform that India has, and many people in the world are signing up to get onto that platform.
Yes, a fintech.
Um,
Fintech means financial platform.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fintech,
yeah,
yeah. But they have a number of companies in India that are big players in it. The biggest one is called Paytm, Paytm.
right. Well, I didn't read about it, so I really don't know much about it, except I just saw the memorandum. Well, they didn't spread the memorandum, but one of the memorandum talks about digital infrastructure. And I
Mhm.
guess India is well known for that stack, as you said, the acronym I don't really, but I know the term STSCK. Um, so India is and there are many more things to come back, which I could enumerate for a long time. But let me just say that last week, a few days ago, I was telling you all that in fact, I think Ned was talking about, Ved was talking about the hub of the Caribbean, where we could find that instead of having 5 and 6 and 10 embassies, we could have only one. But I replied and tell him that Trinidad used to, in many far off countries, represent like Grenada and the smaller islands. So Trinidad was seen as that hub, that reliable partner for years. And that, I went off into a rant last week telling you, the last time I spoke to you, telling you that I know where we went short and why we fall back so far back. But the mecca of the Caribbean was Trinidad and Tobago. I hope we can get back there, and with this new trust, not only the government but the will of the people seems to be suggesting that they want to get done with all this nonsense, and it is either we live as Trinidad and get ahead, or we go back into decadence and run off away from the country and just let it go and let it fall by the wayside. This is the last train. This is the last lap. This is the last endeavor that could take place so that they can rise up from where the fall, the doldrum they are in now. And this is the last chance, and it seems to be on the right track. So again, I want to just congratulate those Trinidad people for what they have done. And I could say I'm speaking for the diaspora in Trinbago and diaspora, United States, maybe around the world, but I'm sure I'm speaking with a good majority of them when I said that we are proud of what Trinidad people have done. And when you look at the kind of response they gave that honorable prime minister, you could see that their heart and mind and soul were in the right place. And the prime minister recognized that, and he paid homage to these people. There's no prime minister who do what he did. He went down and he clapped on the streets and he do all kinds of great things. And he felt at home, and people felt as we belong to them. And there's a nice charismatic way he got along with it. And in the middle of it, he gave a good speech, and he had fun, and he talked about, he connected with at all levels. He was connecting. So I hope that the Trinidad people will continue by taking this forward. If the MOU could be, I was saying the last time that Trinidad, India has a lot to offer. And it seems as though I was following up what was going on in India. And it seems that the people of India, for the first time, hearing about Trinidad and Tobago and recognizing that there are 45%, as they've been saying that from India, that 45% of the Indian population of diasporic Indian people, and they talk about sixth generation. I see that gentleman that left our shores today in Trinidad as my grandfather's prime minister. Because my grandfather, who I know, came from Jaipur. I told you all this before, so I don't want to repeat myself. But he said, so I feel since I look back, at one point
There
I
is
was
no
getting a
problem
little,
in repeating, Doc. You can repeat it. There's no problem. Airtime
yeah,
is
sorry,
yours.
okay, right. I felt a bit nostalgic, and I feel I went back to remember my grandfather, who I know, whom he couldn't speak English, so I know him, but I know him too, because I was almost 6 years when he died. So I see him coming from Jaipur, and that was his prime minister. That's my grandfather prime minister. So you can see that kind of love and affection and the greatness of this man. I saw him here when he came to the United States as well. I mean, saw him on television, and he came to speak to the diaspora here in New York at one point. So he's a fellow, we know who he is. We are the world connected with him. They know who he is. They know everything about him. I mean, he came here, he spoke to Trump. He came here and he addressed the Congress in 2023, I think 2 years ago. He addressed the Congress with the Senate, and he got a good reception here as well when he came. So this is a great man who was maybe the third, or maybe high up, very high up, number one. Maybe I would say like number one in the world of statesmanship right now. He's the number one. I mean, all the guys that he has, you see, he has no baggage. He has no baggage to carry around. Like all the other leaders have this and that and the next. He has nothing. A few, they try to pin a few things on him in the other day, but that really wouldn't work. That's politics. So we could leave that aside. So I would say then that the MOU that they need to follow up, we want to continue with that, and Trinidad could be the hub. I think he's hinting that he's going to Argentina, and he knows that Trinidad has a strong diaspora, and they're well loved and they love each other, kind of thing. So they will use this as a hub to reach out to the other Caribbean countries and nearby Venezuela, and even as they went on to Argentina. And then from Trinidad, they will launch out to these other places where they have to go English and non-English speaking. So Trinidad and India is a win-win from all of this. I hope I'm making sense, because I normally don't see things the normal way everybody sees it. I kind of see it a little differently. But I want to say, I might be the only one, not only one thinking this way either. But I see this as a win-win for Trinidad and Tobago going forward, and there's hardly anything go wrong. What happened today for the 2 days that this prime minister was there? And these usually when he says something, he follow through. And when he reminds, they say yes, because they give them the word, and the word has to be fulfilled. They are politicians, but the word stands. If you see how the guy made reference to his word stands. And therefore, I think that MOU that is going to follow through will happen with the external minister of Trinidad and the one from India. They will get this thing off the ground, and I think we're in a better place than we were 2 days ago. So we must take it now and go forward with it. And I have more to say. Let me stop here and give you all a chance to see if I could get something out of you different than when I was hearing what you all saying just now. What you all are saying was pretty good, but I don't know if I don't know if you're getting my drift. To you want to
Yeah,
hear more from me, but I think I made it get my drift. So you could continue. I'll jump in back a little later again. Go ahead.
yeah,
Anybody?
Doc, we express the same sentiments here. That
Hmm.
thing, but one thing I would like to add,
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard it before, that he's championing the cause of the undeveloped nations in the
Right.
South-South trading blocks.
Right.
Who are those? The
Yes.
non-aligned nations, South
Right.
Africa,
Right.
Brazil, Argentina, these big countries with large land masses and large
Mm-hmm.
populations as well. Say, why
Mm-hmm.
don't we link together and form our own trading bloc? So he's emphasizing a lot more in South to South trade.
Yes.
And initially, the next step is to have a unified currency that we can all trade with. The
Mm-hmm.
BRICS, the BRICS, BRICS,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that organization, they want to develop their own currency as an alternative to the US dollar,
Mm-hmm.
and with Russia, China,
Well,
India, Brazil,
based
South
based
Africa.
on the behavior of the United States in particular, I mean, and first of all, I think it's totally ridiculous for us to have to need U.S. currency to buy goods manufactured in China, and I think that's putting us in a very bad situation and too much U.S. domination on trade and stuff like that. So we need to correct that.
So how can poor countries trade if they don't have US dollar? They can trade south to south. They can trade with India, China, Russia, the South Africa, African nations, South American nations. So everybody is inclusivity, you know, and the focus is not on the G7 or the G15 countries, the European countries, North America, and so on, but more on the everyday struggling people of the rest of the world, in the African continent, in the South American continent, and so on, Latin America and the Caribbean as well. So it has many advantages, and I'm saying something, I'm repeating something I said yesterday. India has developed a lot of high-tech industries with minimal costing. Again, high-tech on industries with a minimal costing. So they have been able to break the supercomputer speed by using their own indigenous, you know, computers, hardware and software. They have been able to fly to the moon, developing their own rockets and so on. As I said, the last cost of sending the rocket, the Chandrayaan mission to the moon, was $68 million. And a movie in Hollywood costs more than that to produce. So they have been able to use this high-tech solutions, generate high-tech solutions with minimal costing. And they have done it in just about every sphere of economic activity, be it agriculture. I mean, if you go India and you see they planted rice on the sides of the Himalaya mountains. And I was shocked to see that, something like that. I know we have to have growing rice in Pooch Laguna, it has to be waterlogged, at least 2 feet of water.
Yeah.
You know? And here I said that they were growing rice high up. In fact, one case is almost 5,000 meters. This is what I say, meter, that is 15,000 feet and above, growing rice up the hillsides. So, how were they able to do these things?
No, was it more productive than growing it in flatlands? Was it that you're saying? Is that what it is?
No, there's a large population in Jammu and Kashmir and all the northern regions, which is hilly areas.
Mm-hmm.
And people like to live and grow their stuff close to their houses. And you'll have your agriculture farms next to your house, or you'll have your house in the farm itself.
Yeah, because you see, and why? Because what everything you're saying is fine, but I want to bring this back home, bring it back to Trinidad. So that rice, that hill rice you're referring to, my question is, from the best, is it more productive than growing? Is it cheaper to grow on a hill or on the flatland?
So
My understanding is flatland, isn't it?
flatland is always cheaper because you have,
Yes.
machinery, equipment, using energy to get, trucks and tractors and all these sort of thing. But there are so much people, the low-lying areas are already occupied.
And there's too far, the distance might be too far to get rice to them, so they do their own thing.
Right. So what you do?
Because I'm asking that because the PNM says that rice growing in Moruga could replace rice growing in DB.
That is
I
true.
don't know how true that doesn't sound true to me, but that's what they said.
That is true with technology. But these guys did not have the technology. It's called hill rice. That is what they were planning to do.
Yeah.
And if you know the story of rice, like black rice is the most nutritious of the rice, so-called grains. And these are, termed as organic and so on. So they fetch high prices. Coffee in the now actually, I don't know, number one or number two in coffee production. And because of these coffee farms are located in higher elevations, it means that the beans take a longer time to mature.
Let's stick to the rice. Let's stick to the rice. Let's stay with the rice. I want to deal with the rice issue.
No, but it matches what we know in the Caribbean as Blue Mountain coffee, which is the best coffee we have.
Now, go back to the rice because I want to find out this Moruga rice thing. Because to me it was a ploy, and I might be wrong. Because what anybody know what the productivity was on the rice planting in Moruga? Like there's a hill rice they talk about. Anybody knows, or they don't have anything?
Well, I don't know. They're speaking with data. You need to have data with everything, my friend. I'm a data-driven guy. I don't make comments without knowing the data, so I cannot speak on that. That was
so that's the problem with the last administration, because they only do things to for political mileage. So they give them seeds, they give them all sort of stuff to plant the rice in Moruga. If that was the problem, my father would have preferred to plant in Moruga than to plant in Baraco and Lengua, plant
Yes,
rice.
correct.
So they didn't go on hill rice. I remember seeing hill rice on the highlands on the hills. They planted some rice, but that was very unproductive. It hardly bring any rice. It was kind of wastage. Was it more the wind without rice without grains in it, and they were false and not really reliable. And we only tried it once, and that was it.
Yeah, but
So
then,
I was surprised that this government of Trinidad boasting so much how they're planting rice in Moruga and the hill rice and blah blah. I said, well, look, I say, what called Guyana? We're gonna lick you up with rice. We're coming out with tons and tons of rice. I said, Guyana, your days are numbered.
probably more PR than
Watch
anything else.
out, Rowley is bringing down his gang from Moruga for what's your rice industry? We're gonna beat you in the world market. I say, wow, good, excellent. And I bring and I say, well, the yam. When he, when he finish the rice, he going for the yam. He bring the yam out, Ghana. Where you bring it from? I said, well, watch out, I'm worried about and St. Kitts, and they have a lot of yam in St. Kitts and Nevis and those. I said, oh, watch out. And even Tobago have some yam. Watch
Yeah,
out, all of the industry going to get dead. Mr. Rowley on the warpath.
yeah.
Rowley on the warpath.
All hype, all these things, but just hype and propaganda and PR to show that they can
Yeah.
account for some of these trips they made all over the world.
Mm.
They're coming up with ideas and this and that, but it's really rubber meets the road is where it counts.
Mm.
People who have to produce things. If that really was so concerned about these things, a barrel of pepper is worth more than a barrel of oil.
Mm.
A barrel of pepper is worth more than a barrel of oil.
A
Why
barrel
did
of
it
petrol,
cost?
petrol, is it?
Yes, oil.
Yeah, but you say
It's
a barrel of
worth,
petrol is worth more than a barrel of oil. What do you mean?
no, a barrel of pepper
Pepper. Oh, pepper. Oh, of course.
is worth
Mm-hmm.
more than a barrel of oil.
Oh, you
But then,
bet.
if that was the case, why did they close down Carolina Green, which was producing peppers?
Oh, I don't know.
I'll tell you why. They lump all of those things, the citrus, the peppers, the rice, all these things were loaded into one big portfolio called sugar cane. So they were able to show that this was unprofitable. Caroni also had a milk producing unit. We used to go there and buy our milk, gallons of fresh cow's milk on evenings. Yeah.
Mm.
They had the milkers, the electronic milkers and so on, pasteurize everything, and they just go with their gallon pan and you pull up and you come home.
Mm.
Yeah. But these things were all lumped into sugarcane production. So in 2004, on the Rahel and the PNM, they realized that, this is a wasted industry.
So the milk production was done by the company Caroni Limited, or it was done by the
Yes,
workers of
by
Caroni?
workers of Caroni, by workers of Caroni. Caroni owned the milk facility,
Right.
you know.
And it wasn't, I guess it wasn't productive.
Well, this is what they're saying, but that was not true because the agricultural aspects, other than sugarcane, was productive.
Mm.
Was, a profitable operation. The citrus aspect of it was a profitable operation. The milk aspect of Caroni was a profitable operation. So
So
this was just
I
an
don't know if you know,
excuse.
I don't know if you know that in Carlsonfield, Gary might know this well. In Carlsonfield, the same PNM government subsidized farmers with cows and
Oh yeah,
whatever, gave them again.
they
And
buried the
I
cow.
remember, right, I remember driving through Carlsonfield and seeing they have the pail on the road with milk. That Nestle, which is right in Curab there in St. Joseph, will come down with a truck and pick up this milk and carry it and drop the previous drum and take the old new drum and
Correct.
walk away with it. I thought that was an
Absolutely.
excellent idea, and I thought I would never fail. It did because they reported milk from everywhere. They had no milk,
So they
They
ended
are no
up.
shame. They import powder, and adding water to it.
Well, eventually, who got the cows, who got the things is P&M time. So you know who got
Yeah,
the farms and so on.
yeah.
So eventually, all the cattle and the bulls and so on were sold to the butchers, and eventually that's where it just ended right
Mm.
there. So
And you see,
very-
you mentioned Carolina Limited, but I'm, the piano people are so wrong. That's why I tell you we don't want to talk about them because they're really history and they're really gone. We should never, no one should talk about them anymore again forever going forward. I hope there's a new party coming to replace them. But they do too many wrong things and destroy the economy. For example, that milk situation. Everything they put their hand on went down. The Carol Limited, the milk and the production they were doing, the oranges and grapefruit and whatever they were planting, if they had allowed that for private enterprise to take over, and they can help initially subsidize in the beginning, but after they get off the ground, pull your hand off. Government, I told you when I spoke to you all first time, government are bad, lazy, good, not good for nothing. They do nothing productive. They're bad people. They create problem rather than solving them. They create more problem than they can solve. So away with them. Anything with production, they out. They can't do anything good and successful. You give them a chance to maybe the production is all they can do. Have a good police and a good army and a good coast guard. That's all they can do, and we know they can't even do that. So
well,
what
uh,
we had to move on. Hopefully that the PL will find a way to find a new party. They will throw the voters to something else because that PNM should be dead, should be killed forever and ever. And let the UNC continue what they're doing, and hopefully the UNC could hold it together for 5, 15, 20, how many years. But we're on the right path. Everything sounding right. I see Gary put up a note just now. They're having a cottage meeting in somewhere in Pinal, Clark Road. I think they said.
yeah,
I
Clark
saw
Road,
Gary put it up just now. I guess that's the 100 days, is it? The 100 days not yet, right?
Penal Government Secondary School.
Yeah, they have 100 days coming up pretty soon. People want to hear what they do for the 100 days. So
April, May, June, July. Yeah, well, pretty close to 100 days.
yeah, so I thought I was 100 days by then. I didn't count,
No,
but I've been not far away.
no, it wouldn't be 100 days.
Not yet. No,
No,
okay.
not
I
yet.
guess they're preparing for the 100 days and all these things that happened today and yesterday. The positive spin on all of this. They have to carry this positive spin forward because
Correct.
the people they are going to answer them. Those fellas who hide in the corner, those financiers and who finance the PNM, the golf bodies and them, they're going to come out. And they're going to come out with the papers and the press and the writers in the papers so to attack 1, 2, 3, 4 because the negative will come out. So I hope they must take front before they take them, before front takes them
But they
because
already started.
they're going to see this in a very biased light as possible, especially those diehards who are no goods and who benefit a whole lot from the ratch by the PNM and the administration. Those are the ones that are coming from the crab hole to attack this very successful 2 days of this honorable prime minister visiting the shorelands. So get ahead. Don't let them wait for it. Get ahead of them.
You're 100% correct, Doc. And that is exactly my sentiments as well. Because some of them has already started. I don't know if you're following what's been going on, but
No,
people
I'm
they're
not.
asking, the press is asking question, how much did this trip cost the government of
Oh,
Trinidad
you
and
bet
Tobago?
I will come. Oh, you bet I will be one that with Deb by tomorrow. You'll see that.
No,
You said it
that
there
is
already.
already been asked.
Oh,
And
I see.
what were the benefits? You
Yeah,
know,
right. Yeah, yeah,
what are the benefits? You
yeah.
spending $1.3 million, and what are the benefits? Well, I hope today they read the newspaper or they listen to the news and they will see the 15 broad-based benefits, which basically covers all the structures of government where we can get help from.
Hmm.
Now, which country has ever offered this to Trinidad and Tobago? Name it two countries that has offered 5 of these benefits for Trinidad and Tobago. No way, none. Not even the US or Europe, England, nobody has offered us this amount of benefits, you know.
Yeah.
And also, as I said, grants, and also skilled manpower in the form of consultants and implementers, how to write the policies and to develop the systems to do these, online payment platforms, the whole digitization and digitalization of records and payment systems as well, the whole area of technology and artificial intelligence, culture, social development, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, you name it, agriculture,
Yeah.
flood mitigation, you know, business activities. This is a well rounded, well thought out structure, the development structure that can only benefit the entire country. The entire
Yeah.
country.
Yeah,
Not,
because you're talking about the infrastructure, the digital infrastructure and payment system that Modi made reference today.
yeah,
Um,
fintech.
right. I could see myself. I looking back, I have my cousins in South, and they're still in the agriculture business.
Mhm.
I could see something like what he talking about. He talk about he could my cousin plant cassava in my 2 3 acres because he sell cassava. He plant but the wholesaler come to he digs it out and the wholesaler come into the cane field where you saw cane before. Now we had cassava, and the wholesaler comes there and purchase it at the point of production. So I could see on the phone, don't walk with any money because they're going to rob you. They're going to take away your money. So I
Correct.
could see them having this handheld device, making account way down in the back of Barrackpore, wherever the hell that for Lake Land or somewhere in Lengua in the bush, doing transaction over the phone. No money, no money. Nobody could come and rob me. You could rob the phone and take it away, but you had to you go do the phone. The phone have the account. It doesn't have no money there. So they can't. I could do transaction in the mountains of Moruga, in the hills of Moruga. And nobody could come and rob me of money. As soon as they have cash, they want to take it away. If you have it in there, they can't take it away. So I can see that Modi thing where the farmers in Trinidad make and doing purchases and selling and buying way down to the where they have no light or no electricity. There's have rivers and waters and gardens and plantation. That's all. And
Well, that,
but the transaction is taking place at and the like the milk farmer referred to in Carlson Field. The Nestle will come and in fact Nestle will take it up and give you a payment right away into your account. Into your right there. You have to go to no bank to get nothing. Right into your account when Nestle's walk away. Check your account and you see the money has been posted into your account. And you make your payments from there again. You're not going to a place. And
well,
that's the thing I think you were talking about the other day. When you talk about the AI and the transaction and all the great nice things. And I told you when I say all these great nice things, my worries is where will they get the foreign exchange to do those great nice things? And then I usually back down when we all the brightness comes out. Because these fellas foreign exchange is the thing. And without a foreign exchange, they can't do many things. And therefore, and one more thing again, I know you want to answer. Um You mentioned just now about the currency, the BRICS and the South-South currency. Why should the US dollar be the unit of currency? I want to ask you also, ask whoever the Trinidad people. You could tell me why it is Jamaica, other countries, St. Lucia, Gonzales talking about
St.
paper
Vincent.
money. Well, yeah. Okay. You
St.
could tell me why it is that the Caribbean cannot accept each other's money? Why it has to be US dollars? That's a thing troubled me ever since I went to the University of West Indies. That bothering me since that time. Why it is that? Why do we have to have a U.S. currency between all these CARICOM partners? All these are sham of failures.
Correct. Absolutely. The waste of time. Waste of
Yes,
time.
that's why I tell you. Let Trinidad go ahead. Let Trinidad be the hub. And when Trinidad's successful, okay, no Grenada, let me pull you up. No Barbados, let me help you. No, I'm Antigua,
But no,
Antigua,
what's going to
help me,
happen there?
help us. I will help you.
We had to watch out
So,
for some of the Caribbean islands betraying us on that agenda,
oh,
Oh,
you
and
bet,
yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
selling
you bet.
out. First, just like the U.S. could buy out any one of them. You understand?
Oh yeah.
And derail that process. So you think they're gonna let it slide,
No, they
or
wouldn't.
or any country? You understand?
Yeah.
So the thing about it is we don't. There's some egos. Even with Jamaica, and look at the guy up in the St. Vincent and the Grenadines up there. You understand? So all you have to do is give him some few US dollars, and he start to cut up the whole deal. You know.
Quite correct.
Well,
Quite correct.
right. For example, look at Guyana, right? Guyana right now, a lot of Trinidadians go to Guyana and come back. A lot of Guyanese used to and maybe still do come back. If I was a Trinidadian, when Guyanese come, I would buy the currency. If I was a Guyanese, when Trinidadian come, I would buy your currency. So we have no US dollar to pass between us.
Yeah,
That makes so much sense. Why it doesn't happen?
the Caribbean currency is something that we need to work on. You know.
I bet you that's illegal to exchange currency outside the government. I bet you that is still illegal. That you couldn't buy Guyanese couldn't buy Trinidad dollar and Trinidad in an open way. But they had to transfer it to US dollars and then we could do business.
Correct. But in Trinidad, and still you cannot, you have to go to the bank with the US to exchange it. You can't sell it to your cousin or your friend down their neighbor wants to travel to the US. You cannot.
But
it's
that
illegal.
was a PNM recent stipulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cannot sell it to them. You have to exchange it to the bank, so the bank gets their fees. If you have 20 US to sell it, take about $3 US as fees.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to the banking system, and they give you, instead of $6.79, they give you $6.49 or $6.35.
Yeah, about 30 cents difference. Yeah.
The spread there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you could get $8 like nothing on the street outside, or to your friends, family, whoever wants to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So what will you do with your 500 US when you go down home? You'll go to the bank and pay the fees and get 30% less or 30 cents less, or you sell it on the outside. Hey, I know you come to the US, sell me $100 now, take a 81. But what did you do as an individual? You see, so this is the question. That's what I say, the 1% to get richer. It's all geared to make the 1% richer.
But that the structure things that they will buy out somebody to derail the whole process. They buy out a person, they buy out a business, they buy out a country, an island. Say we were moving forward with this, and say we work on the deal where Amazon has created a hub in the Caribbean, and so we don't have to use US dollars to buy Amazon products. They're simple as Amazon products was being made in China mostly, right? Or Taiwan, one of them countries there.
China, it's all China, not that.
Set up that thing and we cut out the US currency. You know what's going to happen? We're going to get branded. So we have to have unity in doing that.
Yes, agreed. That is agreed on that. But there is an official currency, and there could be a trading currency. A trading currency means normal everyday trade. You buy bananas from St. Vincent, you pay them $TT, and they buy something back. Remember, Trinidad used to supply, basically, if you go to St. Lucia and so on, or even Barbados, you see, most of the grocery stops are from Trinidad,
Right. And that's the point I was making just now, Sumit. That was the point I was making. The banana boat will come from St. Vincent with fig in the morning.
Correct.
They will go to the wholesale market and sell it off, taking $TT, buying Trinidad things, hop back in the boat and go back.
Building materials. They carry building materials and cement and all this thing back.
Right.
I know.
So that should have been encouraged to some extent. That should have been encouraged. So you don't need the foreign exchange.
Correct.
So the 1%, will want to control that. The 1% want.
That's right. Of course. That's the point I was going to come to. Yes. Because the 1%ers want to make sure it goes to the bank, but the bank subsidize the PNM party, and therefore the PNM would like you to go to the bank, so when the boat comes in and the man wants to get his Trinidad money, he must go and exchange it there for US dollars. And then he'll come back and exchange it back and buy it back again. So they get permission selling and they get commission buying. And the pocket at the 1% is getting fatter and fatter because that's how they make the profit. They produce nothing and they sell everything from abroad. They are conduit to transfer goods from Miami to Trinidad because they make nothing.
Well,
All they do is consumption. The other day, last week I told you about the Prestige holding 51% profit. What they produce stuff made in America. They do buy some local chicken and thing because Trinidad, the KFC and thing use some local Trinidad chicken, but a lot of stuff come from abroad, and the profit has to be siphoned back abroad because you pay for the franchise in US dollars, and the franchise is expensive. So I would like that central bank governor to tell us who get all this for and how much they get. And we really don't want to know names of people, but companies in particular. I mean, we like to know people too, but I don't know the legality of that, and they could deal with that. But in terms of companies, that should be public knowledge. There's not a hiding about public companies. All of them trade in the open stock market. Their information has to be public. It can't be private. And
well,
we know why
like
we
the
know why
prime
they want to be private,
minister
because those are the people who financing that for so long.
Happy 4th of July.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Doc. You go ahead. You go
right.
ahead.
So I want to know, who getting what, and really, I really I want to. There's not. I really, Gary, to tell the truth, I really not. I would like, like I said last week, again, I repeated myself. If there's malfeasance, I know Mr. Ved talk about let's disagree, but that's a cop out. I mean, I don't know if Ved listening or not, but that's a cop out. We can't disagree about anything. We are from the same. We from the same party. We from the same mold. We from the same audience. We from the same team. We can't agree to disagree. That moment, the opposite side. That is not. That shouldn't happen. But let me just make this point about
Well, we are human beings and we may have a different point of view, but at the same
That's
point, we
right.
have an
That's
agreement.
right.
So even
But
you're on the
because
same
we all
party,
in
but have a point of
our objective is the same, to see that our country together, whether we live in America, whether we live in wherever we live in, is the same thing. But the reason why I would like to know is not because I really would like to have a handle on, because I have a hypothesis that it is that Gulf body financing that they're using up only for an exchange, and if we could find that information and let us know, so we can in the future it would be avoided. Because I'm talking about the future now. So those same people who get this money and produce nothing, other than fold their pocket and make the profit and go Miami and shop. And that the Gulf bodies as the Attorney General, like I was saying last week, and when I was here, the Attorney General seems to be on the right track and he's threatening them at this. He might have a lot of stuff. Although it's possible that they could be doing that gamesmanship to to support the locals, to let the supporters feel good and let the PNM look bad, or the opposition look bad. So, I wouldn't be surprised there's something malfeasance, like I said last time, that whatever if it's wrongdoing, they have to pay the penalty. I am not making an excuse, even though I know I want to go forward. If anybody did something wrong, they should be caught and called before whatever system, and they have to report and give us an accountability for what wrong and why did they do it, and whatever penalty it is, they should suffer the consequences. And that doesn't. So that point is right, but I really don't want to go back and dwell in the past very much. I want to talk about the future, really. And if
you have to deal
and that
with
one more, just
the
one more last thing,
done.
Harry.
You have to deal with it.
Just one more last thing,
You really
because
have to deal with it. You can't let them slide every time. So,
okay, right. I agree with you on that, if there's
but we,
wrongdoing, they
Doc,
have.
Doc, we could chew gum and walk too, right?
Yes. So we could look after them. You see, and Gary, my point was this: that if we find, if you want to hit at them because you know they are the enemies at some point, if not now, in the future, because you want to kill them right now. So if you can expose them, and that will help you in the election, I say go for it.
I want the money back. I want the money back.
But that
Seize
means
their asset and finance the people in the country suffering and better the people life. That is my philosophy. Seize the asset
Yeah.
and help the people that they suffered in the country. With the money belong to the people. It's the people money they stole.
Yeah, Gary, because the government is saying, well, look, we have this bill, we have the paying. So the PNM saying, well, show me where you could get the money from. And one of the things I could get it from is if you could give me back the thieving you did. That's one source, and that's a good source, Gary. In that regard, yes, I agree with you 100%. But
No
but
And
problem.
we must also make mileage out of
we can make an alligator Alcatraz in the Caroni swamp for them.
it.
Seriously,
So
I will volunteer to work free for that project because there are millions and billions of dollars that has been siphoned out.
and we want to, if and as Gary said, we want to get it back. And that part I agree with, and so therefore it's not disagree. What I'm saying is that I don't want to spend a petty time just to find out, oh, we get it wrong, that's you get it wrong. But what mileage will I get from this when I find out what wrong you're doing? And Gary said, if you could give me back the money, better. If they could even go to jail for any
Not if,
wrongdoings,
not if.
fine.
There's no if
But
about
I don't
getting
want
the
to dwell
money.
on it.
I want the money. I want the money back.
Seize all the assets and holdings and whatnot. And don't
We
let
got
them
mouths to
escape.
feed. We got a lot of mouths to feed. So I want that
Yeah,
money back. Everything that
yeah,
Young and Faris and Imbert and all of them take and give their friends, I want it back because they took a lot of money and they can't account. We don't see nothing shown for. There's no service delivery. There is nothing. Kamala had 106 schools standing and they tried to deny it exists. Right?
right.
So
And
we ain't playing with these people this time.
Gary, they take from the past and even take from the future
Correct.
because the guy going to fix up himself with a contract that he will be paid for life for 1 day, 2 day, whatever, 6 weeks in office, and he want a pension as a prime minister, and so two of them will be collecting into the future,
And
plus the
the
contract
worst
boys, plus the contract fellas,
prime minister
they fix them up for 3 years into the future. So all the 1% is then fix up themselves. So into the future, this government have to be paying for the agreements made by the past government going forward. So it's not only they have to bring the money back, they also want they're taking money into from the future. In other words, they're robbing the children of tomorrow. These people are real gangsters, man. These are
these
bad people. The
themselves and
government
they
are bad
them
people, or
farmers
they are worse.
and they throw a few crumbs to fool some people to support them and them feel they get a cake. They don't get no cake, they get crumbs. And crumbs
Yeah,
of the crumbs. You don't really get no cake. So we had to go
yeah,
after the cake now. The cake has to be divided equally among the people in the country.
yeah, yeah. So I would like to speak with them, with Trinidad people whenever they come back on again, because I have a few things I want to tell them also. Congratulate them is one really, and that's good. Not that I like talking to you guys too, but um, um one of I don't know if this happened
I
to you
keep it
anytime. Sometimes Trinidad people
uh,
might say, "Well, you all live there, so you all don't understand." I might understand more than they do, though.
I can tell you for a fact I know a lot more than all of them down there do. Because I tell
Mhm.
you, I work in 4 different administrations. I
Yeah.
see the same thing repeating itself these 4 times, including this present scenario here now. 1986 when Nara won, I was with Mr. Robinson that time in his office in Tobago. When he won in Trinidad, I came to work with him in his office in Trinidad as economist. I came in year 2000, year 2010. I was in transformation when it transformed people partnership won that time in
Mhm.
2010 and now in 2020, 2025. You can see the same pattern of things happening over and over and over again. That's why I
Mhm.
keep on telling these. The first thing you have to do is, Dr. Maharaj, you can't tell me that you work in 25 years doing a particular job and come tomorrow, you will change the way you're doing things. No, You only have that ability to do things the way that you have been accustomed to doing it over the 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So don't expect new results from that same labor force.
Mm-hmm.
They're not creative, it's not in their modus operandi to do that. How can they implement my policies when you are limited in your capabilities?
Yeah. And I think
I have a new vision for the country, meaning the UNC. We
yeah,
have our
right,
own vision. And you
right.
guys have been there sitting 25 years, 30 years, PSs, AO5, AO4, AO2, assistant PS, technical officers, all of these scoundrels there, they're not going to implement my policy. They don't even know how to implement my policy.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. It happened
No,
in
and what,
86.
right. So let me hear the solution.
You have to do one of two things. You have to bite the bullet and terminate these people for wrongdoings, and you will catch every single one of them for wrongdoings because, look at the contracts, the simple thing like the contracts, renewal of contracts for all these CPF workers. How can a PS have to sign off on those things? Not the minister. So how come
Yeah.
the PS in this case can sign the contract without knowing who the lessor is, who the lessee is? Nobody. What is its beginning date? What is the ending date? Nobody. They don't have none of those information. Yet the PSs went and signed these things. They are head of the accounting department. They have breached all the accounting rules. So that's grounds for termination.
So was it you who or Dr. Ramrup who was saying that in the last year of the current government administration, nothing will be getting done because there's a waste last year? Is that you said or who was saying that? I think it was you, right? No, not you.
What repeat that? Repeat.
Yeah, the last year they're saying that in the current government, the fifth year is when civil servants don't give you any cooperation because they believe that government will change just now. And then I think Rambo
Well,
was saying that.
yeah, I endorse that as well because I worked through the system in those years. They
Yeah.
don't, but it's more so the current government cannot achieve nothing much in the final year because they're so focused now. Their expenditures, you can't bring in no new projects and this sort of thing. However, the PNM was putting on new contractors up to 2 and 3 days
Dr.
before the
Martin,
election. Before this general election, they were signing contracts for people, their friends and family, to get big contracts. And now they're saying, oh, you all don't like black people, you're taking away the livelihood, the bread and butter of black faces because they were PNM. Blah, blah. What BS is that?
So,
So
it are no black people in the UNC. All of them white. All of them is Indian.
So how come only, they said 8 out of 10 CPEP contracts were mostly in the PNM areas. What is CPEP? CPEP is Community Enhancement Projects. So you tell me only Northeast West Corridor has CPEP. Where is CPEP in Pinal and Debe and Maruga and Barkpo and all these places? That is not CPEP. All
no,
constituencies.
say my question, Somali. You got to stick to what I'm asking you.
Tell me.
Because I'm not clear because so if I am saying that this government is a 15-year government and we have to act that way, then how come on the fifth year civil servants would not cooperate with me?
No, they not cooperating with you from the first year, not from the fifth year, not only fifth year, from the first year. If you want the conversation early on, a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Maraj, you will see that, or you will understand that every minister, right? If I'm a minister of public utilities, I have authorization to employ 5 persons on my own. an advisor, special assistant, this, that. 5 persons. You know what the current PSs are telling the current ministers here? They have to apply for the job through the ministry HR department. That was never the rule. Why are we falling for that? So they're telling.
Yeah, no, but okay. So are you saying the whole 5 years is a problem, or just the last year of the 5 years?
Entire 5 years is a problem because, look, you have to understand the procedure. How, let's say you want to implement a project, right? The project starts with a proposal. Proposal, it goes through the technical officers and so on. Okay, everything is fine. Then it goes through what's called the administrative officer. Then it goes to the AO2, administrative officer 2. Then the AO4. Then the AO5. Then the assistant PS. Then the next assistant PS. Then the technical officer. And finally the PS. So everybody is involved in the process. And during that entire chain is all paying him in all the ministries.
How long will that take?
How long? It takes about 3-4 months to move from submission of the proposal to by the time it reaches the PS. At least 3 to 4 months.
Isn't that standard public policy?
Yes. You cannot.
Right.
Ministers have no control. Ministers have no control over any employee in the ministry, starting from the messenger going up. Minister cannot fire an employee in the ministry.
Let me give you an example about what happened in years gone by. When Pandey took over the first time, he used to call on his minister. How Kamala talked about the minister held to accountable to account. Pandey was telling the ministers and them, "I want to see results. I don't care how it is done." So you see that 4 months. You see that 4 months you talk about? They cut down the 4 months to 3 weeks and they abandon all the process. But you know the feedback or the negative feedback was swift and tough on them because the press took up the matter and they're breaking the law and blah 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 blah. Because they want to be fired as a minister not for non-performance, so they had to disobey some of the rules because they want to get it done. I mean, I spoke to them at that time, but they were telling me it was the same thing. The boss want them to get it done.
Absolutely.
But the civil service bureaucracy is keeping back the process. So what do you do?
Right. It's either now you have one or two. You either find all of them when they're involved in wrongdoing, and you can terminate them for breaching the rules of the public service. You are reprimanded or so like this. Second, and the most feasible, quick way to get it is to run a parallel system. Remember, I told you, and I said that at the beginning of when the UNC won election, we should have an implementation team, a standardized implementation team that will undergo every single project that the government wants to implement. We have people from Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Planning and Development, Ministry of Public Administration, Technology, iGov, all these. You have a core of, let's say, 30 people.
So you feel then that parallel system will be legal.
It will be legal, and in this case now, the ministers can endorse the project, not the permanent secretary. The ministers endorsing this process based on technical advice he has gotten from this committee.
Because you may find up to the PS. I mean, I give you examples already of what happened. Up to the PS might be saying, we don't want this, and then the minister saying, yes, we want it. So you might end a riot on your hand. I mean, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
That is the current situation which is happening now.
Right.
The PSs are telling the ministers, you cannot do this. You cannot you cannot bring in your 5 employees, which you are authorized to do. You cannot do that. You cannot employ nobody. But This is a right every single minister of all the administrations had. He can employ 5 persons of his choice, including technical advisors and so on.
And I think
And it's,
and I answered this to you. I gave you that pointer the last time before when you said something similar. I was saying that the PSA seems to be in strong support of the current government. If you don't get the buy-in with the PSA, it might be harder to run any, whether parallel or not.
yes, correct,
You,
absolutely correct. And that's why they involved the PSA. They took front before front take them. That's what it comes up to. So that they have the PSA on their side now. The UNC has the PSA on their side now. And if every time you find, look, there's a PS, I don't want to call his name, but was in national security, also sits on 9 boards of the government. Nine. And she does not want to budge. Right?
And that shouldn't be, but that
Is
is
the most inefficient of all the PSs. She has broken all the rules. She has, so
well, I
what
guess
you have to do now is to tie them up in legal matters. You know, tie them up in legal matters. That why you did this? Why you break this thing? Why did that? Why did you not approve that? Why this thing was approved? Because under the PNM, everything was approved. Every single thing. The ministers.
So in that light of bureaucratic behavior, and as you said, maybe borderline illegality also in that they overstepping the bounds and all of that. Don't you think, or do you believe? Because I listen to what the AG is saying, and he's speaking in parables. In many cases, he's a very entertaining fellow, but he's very well versed in answering the situation, like answering the PNM people. Because that's the way I'll speak to them. You see how he's speaking to them? He's telling them X, Y, and Z, and he said, somebody did it, but I am going to come for you, and I'll find out who did it, and blah, 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 blah. So he's really mouthing a very threatening situation, which seems to be working.
Not only
Don't
that,
you
though.
don't you think that he might get to the bottom of many of these things that you all are referring to for the past few weeks?
Yeah, he may get to do it, but after year 3 or year 4. So that's what I'm saying, Doc, is to tie them up in legal issues from now, so they become redundant. This is what I'm saying. Because under the PNM, they were approving every single project. Once it suited the PNM party, everything was approved. When the UNC partnership was in power last time, all the dots and T's have to be crossed. And then they will advise you, it couldn't be happening this. And listen, talk to any of these ministers and they'll tell you. And I have spoken to 2 ministers in the last time. I can tell you where I used to work in Ministry of Education at that time. 22 PNM party groups, and they are all directors in the Ministry of Education. And they heading 22 party groups. How can you get a project going? If you talk to the minister, he will tell you why he was not able to achieve this. Why you cannot, it takes almost 2 years to appoint a teacher. How come? Huh? Tell me something, when in the belly of it, then you realize what goes on, And to see the favoritism when UNC was there versus when PNM is there. Oh, everything under PNM, anything you could get approved, man. Anything you could get approved. Because they're breaking the laws. How can you, Doc, if you rent an apartment, wouldn't you know in your home in New York, basic lesser lease agreement, name of the person, where you live, what is your income, what date of payment, and so on. After 1 year, you renew, on the 11th month or so. This contract clearly spells this thing out. And you know who supervises this? The Solicitor General is the one who vets all these rental contracts. Then the PSS seek legal advice, and the PNM the PSs approve these things without having know who the landlord is and so on. What is the date? What is the closing date of this contract? How much money is that to be paid? So all these contracts are null and void. They are null and void. And
So they're working. The AG is working on that now, I guess.
I hope, I really hope, and I don't know how long it's going to take. You see, so when you have these things like that, your implementation of your projects becomes a problem. So unless you have this parallel system going, and did like Mr. Pandey did, and Mr. Pandey talked to me personally, he said every Monday morning he will call his meeting and you have to stand up and tell me what you did for the past week. What were the issues and problems you are facing? Talk to this minister where you are getting the problem and sort out this thing right now for me in front of me. So nobody BS with him coming to next week meeting now. Because every Monday morning he did that. He told me he did that. And a lot of ministers were green, the young and this and that, never had the experience. But
Right,
he said,
but that's what I tell you, that's what they told me. The ministers told me that what the boss was asking for, and sometimes they have to
boss was
violate
in
the
their
rules.
tail. Boss
They
was
couldn't
in their
follow.
tail. We
They couldn't
were
follow this.
knocking glass one day with like this,
Yeah.
having some drinks together, and exactly what it is. And I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, you hold them to account, and they say the boss want this and the boss want us to do that and the other. So
But
they
the boss,
to get
boss,
production, they violated some of the rules.
yes, you did. You have to let them sue us after. The fact is that but if people is for the people's benefit, right? And how come the press
Right.
can say this and that, but the masters of the people are the beneficiaries of this thing?
Right. So last week again, when I was talking to you all, I don't want to stop finish up this last point, and because all in the same discussion we are having. Because my deepest concern from day one is I am on an election mode. I am already looking to see how we can win the next election. And all these things the parliamentary arms are doing, the members of the party, like sympathizers and members of the party, should be articulating a position in favor of the government no matter what. So I have something in relation to that. I always talk about Lubre and Point 14 because those are the two seats that we might be able to, and we had this discussion before, just reminding you that those are the two seats that we would like to hold on to and seems to be the winnable ones in the future, say as opposed to maybe Tonapuna even. I'd even better up in Lubre than Tonapuna.
Yeah.
But we don't want to lose Tonapuna. But let's say we lose Tonapuna, we have those two seats in the bag, and that will take us to the next government. So I hope that the Prime Minister is she having this cottage meeting in down in Pinal somewhere. I would have liked to have that meeting down in Labrador and more meetings in Labrador and those areas. Go down in those areas and work in those areas and carry your MPs with you when you go down there and work in those two areas in particular. And that's the advice I would like to give them because I'm concerned about the next 5 years, the next 4 years and 9 months.
Doc, my concern is exactly that. But I don't know if I was there in 2015 and 2020. I could tell you, Labre, the UNC was winning those two seats up to 7 o'clock in the night. All of a sudden, ballot boxes came with the same identical figures as the last time. Where did that originate from? That same thing happened all over Trinidad. Last hour of voting, that was the clue for everything that transpired. UNC was winning Labre hands down in 2015 and 2020. Hands down by thousands of votes, already in the lead. And that extended hour is where all this shit excuse the language, happened. So the next thing I want you to look at, right? How many PNM voters sort of across the floor do you think?
How many go across the floor?
Yeah,
I would say a few, not many. A few.
yeah. Now 110,000 votes the PNM. We see that 110,000 votes less in this election, right?
Mm-hmm.
110,000 votes the PNM. We see less in this election compared to the previous election. But how much of that 110 casted their votes to the UNC? You see, people are under the misguided impression that they're saying that it was a swing vote. These people changed their mind and voted for the UNC. No. The election was won by PNM voters not voting for the PNM. Because if you look at the historical evidence, UNC always had around 310, 315,000 voters in their voting bank that voted for the party in the last three or four elections, right? Three or
Well, they
10.
didn't vote. They didn't vote. They didn't vote for Griffith either, or they didn't vote for Michaela either, or
Correct.
whatever.
Yeah,
You know.
listen to this, Gary. But this time around, UNC won by 335,000, which means that really 20 to 25,000 supporters of the other parties voted the UNC.
Not necessarily.
Listen,
No.
listen,
These are
Gary.
the young
Listen.
people. This is the young people came out.
No, listen what I'm saying. Listen.
We didn't get
Those
that much PNM vote. We get the young people who came out there.
Right, correct. We got the young people because our policy, the strategy was to, hey, you know what, guys? We know you would not vote for us, but please do not go and vote. That strategy we used in 2010. In 2010, we used the same strategy. We go into PNM strongholds. We organize all these football and these games and that, athletics, blah, blah, blah. Run parties, run DJ music, block parties and so on. Hear what? We have to tell these PNM supporters, we don't want you to vote for us, but please do not go out and vote this time. And that's how we won the 2010. The same strategy was used this time around. However, we were able to get about 25,000 more supporters other than our natural supporters. Where did that come from? It came from a few of them who were really disgruntled, but the majority came from the younger voters who benefited from all these laptop projects, all this training that come now, the employment, the 50,000 jobs, opening at the nursing school and all this kind of thing. We got some of the byproduct of that to come over to the UNC. As there was no mass migration of PNM supporters into the UNC. How they won UNC won us because these disgruntled PNM supporters just did not go and vote. That's why you see that 110,000 drop in supporters.
Anthony Ford said he agrees with you. He said that people are fed up, and well,
Correct.
people are fed up, and
but they did not vote.
Mostly the young people demonstrated their dissatisfaction. Some people out of political and racial pride did not vote UNC and will not vote UNC, but they did the right thing in not coming out to vote at the same time.
That's correct. That is the point. That is exactly the point I'm trying to tell you.
Listen to me. We know, like I said, we know our four trainees who got brutalized just voting UNC.
Exactly.
Because they got brutalized for him saying anything in favor of UNC. right? But that is behind us at this point. The fact is, we have a government in place. The people looking forward to a better life, and we must deliver, and we should focus on delivering at this stage.
You know what is the mantra for Penny, the opposition leader? She has to woo these 110,000 voters to come back. Come back home. We know you are disagreed with this. We know we treated you badly. This is the mantra she's singing right now to them. Please come back home. We have a new management team in place. Hey, who knows in the next 5 years, if they decide to take that bait, UNC in serious trouble. UNC could be in serious trouble if that 110,000 just go back and based on the appeal and so on. Hey, they go back and vote for Penny this time around.
So, but the thing about it is, we cannot overburden our ministers who are overwhelmed with the amount of things they have to do. The um,
So,
party political arm has to be revamped. It is still
re,
wasn't where it shouldn't be, and these are the things we can focus on. Working with them. I said
yes,
Let Mr. Modi leave, and then next week we will get to what me and Dr. Ramu talked about, and also Arjun was here when we discussed that
yeah,
about getting in
I was
contact
just,
with the
I
people
was
on the ground
just,
there.
yeah, Gary, I was just answering and I sharing Dr. Maharaj's views because I am also concerned for the election the next time around. Because if
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not,
Well, we have to give our government a few months
yeah,
to
yeah,
really,
yeah,
because
I'm not,
you can
no,
we
I'm
cannot
not,
be
no,
unreasonable,
no,
because we
no, no.
know, I know those guys are working or around the clock,
Yes,
beyond
I
the
agree.
necessary
Yeah,
hours, and so we have to keep that in mind. We could focus on bringing people on board with this concept, but at the same time we have to give the support and not condemn the ministers and them, because they have a lot going on,
I
and
agree with you
the
100%.
performance,
Well, right.
the performance.
So you all heard me on this many times. I'll never repeat myself again. I was telling you the last time that the parliamentary arm is involved in a lot of stuff which Gary is saying now. We don't want to get involved with them. What I'm saying, remember when I said the last day I said that
Not a
this
matter of
attack,
getting involved with them. We have to give them, in the sense that, give them the chance to do what they're doing, because they are working very hard. In fact, they have a
that is exactly
much
that's
harder
exactly
job
what I'm
right now.
saying. I am
Yeah,
saying don't interfere with the parliamentary arm. They have a lot to do. So
yeah.
I am asking the other day when they attack when they're whipping this boy. What did I told you all? I told you all that the party branch from South Carolina, Cuba South.
Cuba South.
They should rail up and go to the press and complain about how they're attacking their members of representative, and this is not right and this is not fair and blah blah blah. And they should be making noise and the press
Uh,
should pick
But
it
the
up.
thing
And
about Jock is,
that
Trinidad, they
is
have
the
a kind of
kind of
way. We
that's
bring
the
the
kind of a
election and they want
feeling
to
I'm
relax.
telling you all about, that the party have a role to play between elections. I said this from the first time I made open my mouth on this program. Last week, Dr. Ramrup did say something, and I hope you all listened to what he was saying. He said that those who are doctors and those who are involved with things, tell the people who are pro UNC up to now, whether they're members or not, promise them you're going to give them 40% discount when they visit their office. Do something. In the meantime, what can you all do other than the parliamentary arm? We leave them out. They have their work to do. What can we do? And Ram Rup said that last week. He says, give them a discount. Do other things you could do. Many things. Like I think just
Yeah, but
Sumit,
what I'm saying to
Sumit
you,
mentioned
what I need from Dr. Ramroop is, he is physically there and I am not. So what I need from him is to have a physical contact with the people like Peter Kanhai, who is in charge of that kind of stuff. And
not text, man. Let me see people who are supposed to be at the
yeah,
forefront.
so
Leave the parliamentarians to do their job. Their hands are filled. They can't do
yeah.
anything for anybody right now. But
Yes.
the
So
Natex, the backbone of the party, which is the
and
Natex people,
yeah. So
they are the ones who have to drive
we are
this
outside
process.
here, but we depending on Dr. Rambo and others who are there to make that contact. So I said let's give it a rest because Modi was there, and then next week we will pick up on that. In fact, if I have to call myself to the party headquarters, and I also have intention of doing a conference call with Dr. Ramrup and see how it goes. And then I want to add you guys onto that conversation going forward. That we do a conference call, and we get this kind of the political end of the party. Remember, the local elections coming around that's pretty soon, so we could have to mobilize that. But Trinidadians have a kind of way about themselves. They feel when they win government and they can relax. They're not relaxed. Let me tell you something. Winning government is conquering the beach. We have the whole land to conquer and the enemy to destroy it. We just landed on the beach. We ain't take the land yet. You know what I mean? So we don't want to get deceived. A lot of people, most of our people, mind is conditioned for fed. They're not conditioned for war, right? They don't understand war. And we have a fat mentality, and so we have to really think in a militant fashion in the fact that we have to take the country. We have not taken the country yet. We took the beach. All
Yeah.
right, so that is where the work. We have a lot of work to do. So
So,
go ahead, Dr.
right.
Mahajan.
So, right. So, you're mentioning that the 100,000, if they comes out, if they come out in whatever year it is that we couple smoke we pipe.
It could
You know
very
what?
well be that. That's what
The
I'm saying.
way, right. So the way you manage that is to assume that the 100,000 will come out, and
Correct.
therefore you are going to take precautions now to beat that 100,000.
Simple. That is what
And
I'm
one of
saying.
them would be what Ramrup said: do things now with your own current supporters, so they wouldn't leave you. Plus, you'll ask them to build on what you have, and this is the road. And that's my problem with you all from the beginning. When I'm problem, but the role of the party, those are my terms that I used it in the first day. The role of the party between election is equally important as the parliamentary who has to deliver as the executive have to deliver. So there must be a symbiosis between the two because they go together.
Absolutely. That you hit it on the point. That is exactly what. But what has happened and transpired in the past, Doc, I don't know if you know, the Natex are the only people inside, not the parliamentary arm. The Natex people were the only beneficiaries, not the regular day-to-day supporters of the UNC. They did not they got literally crumbs in the last 5 years.
Right. But you forgot what I told you last time. The Natex are the ministers and them. So
No,
they
no,
have to
no,
find a shadow. They
no,
have to find a shadow to represent them.
not the ministers, the people doing the planning inside the party.
Yeah, but a lot of members who are, for example, the treasurer, the finance minister, he's see some position in the party. Most of them have the boy from Mayaro. He has a position in the party. They are not ex-members. Quite a lot of them will be. So what I was telling you that time, I said they need to have a shadow NATEX member who would fill in when they occupied in parliament. They should have somebody behind working in their place there. And that's the point I made the last time. Because I agree with 100% what you're saying. But just you have a problem if you don't address, and they will tell you, well, the NATEX members are so therefore you don't expect us to do everything. Yeah, but you should know. Or the political leaders should tell them we need to find people to replace the members of parliament because they're tied up with other things. Get somebody to work in the office. Just one more example I would give to you what we used to do. I came out of a Rima constituency, and everything was at the grassroots level.
Mhm.
We fight at the grassroots level. I beat the PNM three times, and I feel if I was there, I could beat them again because we know how to beat them, and we did 1, 2, 3 times. Now I see the PNM come back strong, and that shouldn't happen, but it happened. So the important thing was the grassroots level, where at the party branch You have communication with yourself. Every day you're discussing matters and items. And I have my own executive office to deal with. I was the president. I know how to deal with it. So we used to go around doing new things. I was also president of the association, the housing association. I was president. So I was one time I was like Robinson, head of the party and also head of the administration.
Mm.
So that is where UNC have never had a good ground game. And throughout, they have a game when they come election time come, but that's a falsehood game. That's only to win the election. My point to them will always be, in the interim, what do the grassroots people do to support the government who's working so hard? If you don't correct that, back to opposition.
And that's basically the support base. What
Right.
did you do for the support base other than a few NATEX members and they getting, getting the cream of the crop, so to speak? And your support base was neglected to a large extent. And this is where it fell down.
Mm.
This is
And
where
our
it fell
Ramrup saying the other night.
down. Huh?
Yeah. We'll continue another time again. We won't finish
Yeah,
it all tonight.
they neglected this regular, the regular
Yeah,
support like
Yeah,
you
you
and
can do
I and
that. Yeah.
Gary.
on that aspect, we have a lot to fix, and the way how we manage the election arm of the party is a lot to fix, because they tell some
Correct.
people that
Correct.
we have to have a lot of this discussion privately. But there was a lot of the way it was managed. It frustrated people, and that's why people didn't want to participate.
Your
So
support base. That's the grassroots Dr. Maraz is talking about. When your grassroots supporters fall out with you, man, it's
Mm.
hard to build that up back again.
Mhm.
When
So yes,
that
we will
base.
fix that. Our team can play a very how to say effective role in that. But a lot of the discussion we have to have it off air. In the the moving forward. But I understand the point. I know of it. I have experienced the issues, and I listen to me. I fought on my own merit, in the sense that I didn't stop for nobody. I didn't allow anybody to barricade me from anybody, and I just kind of continue what I was doing. But we need to create that structure on each constituency and to work with the different how to say section of the constituency where there will be various party groups where we all working in collaboration with each other. And there must be inclusion. We must not be one pushing their personal agenda. That we have seen. I have seen too much of that typical Trinidad behavior.
You get cut off.
I think we had drop off with him. Yeah. But Doc, you're right. What you're saying, we have to be concerned with the next rounds of election coming up in the next 5 years, because exactly what you're saying. How are we going to keep that extra 25,000 people who have voted for us
Right.
if they
Right.
decide to go back, where they come from?
Or don't go at all. Don't vote
Or
at
to
all.
vote. Yeah, who knows if that strategy will work this time? It worked this
Mm.
time because everybody was discontented with the PNL.
Mm.
For foreign exchange, health, and all these kind of issues, secure
Mm.
national security, three main things.
Mm.
But what happens if Penny's appeal attract them to come back home?
Mm.
And a lot of these people, you will have to understand, they are party loyalists. They were just disgruntled this time around, so they did not vote. But what is it going to stop them from going back? You see, it's a question we have to look at. Also, a question we have to look at are the marginal constituencies and really work hard. You say in Labre, yes, Sando West. Make sure that
Mm.
the opposition never wins that again. Right? You
Mm.
have a solid base now to work with.
Mm.
Labre, you have a solid base to work with. St. Joseph, you
Mm.
have a solid base to work with. Well, Telempuna is still iffy. I just don't have too much faith in that constituency. That could
But
go anytime.
let me tell you something. I understand that we perform well and we still getting the vote, but there were some people who caused that. But I'm going back to the fact that we must be able to make that service, that delivery to our people. We have to work hard in getting our government all the necessary resources and assistance to provide for the people. The service
Yeah.
delivery must be met. I understand we will get betrayed in some areas, but we also have to win the non-affiliated voters. But service delivery, promise delivery is something that is very important role in this thing here. Our
Yeah,
government must be able
Gar-
to deliver.
Gary, I'll differ with you up to a point. Then let me tell you, service delivery is important, but only for a certain segment of the population. If everybody was thinking righteously like any one of us, look at the
For
look at
some
the
people, no matter
number.
what we do,
No matter what
they
you
will not
do,
vote for us, right? We
that's
know
right.
that.
That's one
We know
thing.
that.
So
But the
that
thing about it, that should not stop us on delivering, because it is our reputation at stake here. We must keep that maintain that, and so we must not give the opposition any ammunition that we did not meet the promises that we made.
absolutely,
We must
that's
also
why
identify. We must also identify the destructive thing that the opposition who was in government prior did to cause these damages, to cause the delay on the delivery. The reason for delay on delivery is because of the damages, the extent of the damages that has been exposed by Barry and Saddam and a few of them in the parliament there. Barry and Saddam has been doing an excellent job in exposing that, very aggressively. And, for young people, they are really doing a good job there. So
that's
that
why
part,
that's why I said what I said. It appeals to a certain segment of the people, But if you look at things overall, no right-minded citizen would have voted for PNM the last time. Not this time, the last time. Well, there's
yeah,
still
but
106
look how much
crores
vote
of
they get.
people.
Look how much vote they get, and how much vote they steal, and what else they do.
All the delivery. The UNC has so much, the partnership government has so much delivery, Gary. Police station,
But
hospital, school. That made no sense.
some
That
people put a
made,
spike in the wheel this time.
yeah,
You
I
see,
know. But
you
that,
see that big, military jet that came and landed there.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. Yeah, I know. My niece works there in the airport authority, so she tells me these things. But what I'm saying, these people can go back home. Because at this point in time, or at the election point in time, reasoning doesn't mean anything. Delivery doesn't mean anything to a lot of people. It's party based, party loyalty that comes to the fore. Yeah, this
But
is what happened.
there will be some that means something, because a lot of people came across to the UNC,
This
and
time around, yes,
a
I
lot of
agree.
Afro Chinese campaign very hard, and not even their relatives' threats and their friends' threats and bullying stop them, and they must get credit for what they did.
Absolutely. It's the
I think we're in a good place. We just have to
uh,
keep maintaining going forward.
the question is, how do you keep these people at the same momentum for the next election? That is the
Well,
trick.
look, we're gonna see what happens local election. We had to get ready for local election. We will see how that turns out. But all the plea of Penny has been very weak. She sat there. We have to deal with Penny too, because Penny sat there. Like, I have something against Penny as much as I had loved Penny, is that the fact that she walked out on our people here suffering and stranded in the United States and internationally. And I want Penny to show me what she did to assist our citizens, because she ran home quick for a seat
Right.
and left
But
everybody.
Gary, you know that. You told me that. I'm sure we know that here. But how many people in
But
Trinidad
what
know
brought it to my attention is the fact that somebody who was staying with Penny called and told me Penny left me and gone.
that? We know this thing, but Gary, you see, Trinities don't know these things. We know it from the outside because of your experience, what you experience, and you're damn right to say what you're saying. But the average Trinidad, they don't care about these things now. They don't care, boy. I'm telling you, you have a hard choice to convince people, and UNC have to be on top of the game to make sure that they keep, the current voters appeased. Don't do like the last time
I
where
mean,
they
we had
alienate.
people getting paid for a job and they abandoned citizens, and I did everything for our people for about 2 years for free.
For free, correct. I
So
know.
let me tell you something. When I hear a person have 9 boards and they're holding up a permanent secretary position, I want them fired from every damn board.
I'll never see a job again in a lifetime.
The
Yeah,
board
no,
must
no.
go first. But anyway, we will catch up tomorrow night. All
Yeah.
right.
All right.
Thank
Take
you
care,
guys
man.
for listening. Anthony, thank you for coming, buddy. Someday we're gonna get together, Anthony. So I want to thank everyone for listening us, and like I said, the program is open for you to join and voice your opinion. With that, I will say good night, everyone. We will continue to provide the facts and information as best as we possibly can. Thank you again. Good night, everybody.